Previously on Film Noir.
How do you feel about time paradox plot holes?
I haven't heard from you in a little while, and I've still got that favor that you asked me about, so... I was beginning to wonder if you were ever planning to call in this favor.
Well, I would have sooner, but for some reason, when I went to the place we always film, you weren't there! How was I supposed to find you? You can actually text on that fossil?
I know only a few things about this movie. It's a love letter story starring Sandra Bullock and 2019's favorite man, Keanu Reeves. Thanks to Family Guy's cutaway gag about it, I also know there's a time travel element. And lastly, Ashley has a certain fondness for it and asked me to do a review. She sat through 8 Swan Princess movies for me, so I can't legally refuse.
While that movie series has progressively declined in quality, the first Swan Princess is a solidly entertaining 90 minutes despite its flaws. I have similar feelings about The Lake House. I enjoy it, but it has frustrating elements. I've known for a long time that I needed a true professional to take a crack at this mess. But I can only afford Steven, so I guess he'll just have to do.
What can I say? I'm a giver. This is The Lake House. Why cursive? Honestly, it's more trouble than it's worth to read it or write it.
Furthermore, one of our leads is a doctor. I've seen the chicken scratch that passes for doctor's handwriting multiple times, and believe me, that is not it. Speaking of which, character introduction time. Kate is an overworked doctor moving out of the lake house. Alex is an architect moving in.
Why would you take that house, Alex? It's made of glass. There's no privacy.
It's only accessible via a dirt road. That's plenty of privacy. Alex opens a letter from Kate, asking him to forward her mail.
Sorry about the paw prints by the front door. They were there when I moved in. Same with the box in the attic. What the hell is she talking about?
The mystery begins.
Has that ever actually helped you?
Yes. Yes, it has.
During Kate's lunch break,
He says it's global warming. The icebergs start melting. Water covers the earth. Thank God we won't live to see it.
well, aren't you lucky? A man is hit by a car and unfortunately doesn't survive.
On your day off, get as far away from this place as you can. Go someplace where you feel most like yourself.
This takes her back to the lake house, where she finds a letter from Alex in the mailbox.
As far as I know, the lake house has been empty for several years. Maybe your note was intended for the Sandberg house down the shore.
I used to live at the lake house. Then I moved. Now I live at 1620 North Racine in Chicago. By the way, it's 2006.
I never understood why she felt the need to respond back to him, "It's 2006, as though one of them had mentioned that.
Maybe she thought he was confused, so she snapped back at him with a little dose of, "Hey, dummy, come back to reality. It misses you."
Oh. I never considered that angle before.
Wait a minute, this is the first time I'm watching this movie, and I just answered a question that you've had for years? You really did need a professional.
After Alex talks about his estranged family relationships,
Come back after 4 years, and I get this in front of me. What? My little brother thinking he's Frank Lloyd whatever.
Oh, come on.
he tries to bring a letter to Kate's address. But there's one problem.
It's just a construction site. Maybe you got the address wrong because I noticed you got the date wrong, too.
Voila! The main attraction. Our romantic leads are separated not by distance, but by time, a space of 2 full years.
Holy crap.
With that knowledge, Kate warns Alex of a surprise late snowstorm.
Just in case you really are where and when you think you are, you'll need this. There was a freak late snow that spring and everyone got sick.
Good way to show that the time difference is real, but shouldn't the cold weather have set in before he got sick?
Kate and Alex continue their correspondence.
Jack. 2 years ago in your time, I was working in internal medicine in Madison, thinking about the paw prints. How is that possible?
Well, I think we have the same dog.
Wait a minute, Kate just said...
Remember that day? You were not happy.
Implying that the dog was with her in 2004. But it wasn't, it was with Alex. If the movie can't even keep that straight, I'm scared for the rest. Kate mentions her paradoxical pen pal to her mom.
The date on the letter, the date.
Oh, you mean the time thing?
Yes.
That's just a detail.
Just a detail?
I'm with Kate. People only humor these ideas so easily in anime.
That was weird.
Alex visits his father for the first time in several years.
They're yours. From a house I just bought. On the lake.
Said some sleazy little condo developer snapped it up. Indulge your father. Can't you take a little joke, for God's sake?
How tasteless can you be? Have you heard of the phrase, breaking the ice? Well, this is taking the ice, throwing it back in the freezer, and then shipping the freezer to Antarctica. Kate mentions missing the trees by the lake house, so Alex plants one in front of her future apartment.
I'm sorry, what?
And here we have it, a perfect encapsulation of that moment where the movie's logic goes right out the window. Apart from their letters, we're led to believe that what happens in Alex's 2004 is already reflected in Kate's 2006. But now the changes could be spontaneous? Those paradoxes I warned you about? Yeah, we're getting into those now.
Peachy.
Even if we're far apart, I'll find a way to be close to you and take care of you.
But you know that in 2004 she lives in Madison. Is that really so far from 4.5 hours? Okay, I see the problem.
Yeah, that's the issue. Not the idea of him walking up to her and being, "Yo, girl, you don't know me yet, but I'm getting letters from a future you through a magic time-traveling mailbox."
At least by the logic of this movie, is that really so weird? Kate's mom keeps going along with it.
Before your father,
Yeah?
there was this boy.
Why didn't you marry him?
So that you could ask me this question someday.
On further consideration, Kate's mom might not be all there.
After Alex picks up Kate's forgotten book at a bus stop in 2004.
You never told me how beautiful you were.
The two plan to talk on the phone.
July 10th, 2006 at 9:05 p.m.
But before Kate can mail her confirmation letter, she gets a call from her ex-boyfriend Morgan. I think it's safe to say that's not the blast from the past she was looking for.
We were dating, what, a week? Then you had our entire future mapped out for us? We'd go to your house for the weekend, you'd have the entire town in your house to meet me.
Yeah, I do seem to remember that you made pretty fast friends with one of them.
What guy?
The guy I caught you making out with?
I wasn't making out with him.
What do you call it then?
Kiss!
Whatever it was, that's not a very cash money thing to do when you're in a relationship, man.
And the sad part is, most of the audience was probably thinking, was it Alex that she kissed? Well, Jack runs off and leads Alex straight to Morgan, so probably.
Just so you don't think I'm going to drink all this by myself, I'm having a bunch of friends over tonight for a party. You two are welcome to come. 8 o'clock. It's Kate's birthday.
Morgan invited Alex and Mona to his home after talking with them for barely a minute. And he said Kate made fast friends.
So Alex attends the party and approaches past Kate.
Have you read Persuasion?
These two people, they meet, they almost fall in love. Years later, they meet again. They get another chance. They waited too long. It's too late to make it work.
Why do you like that?
I don't know.
I know, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's beautiful and I kind of...
it's terrible.
Especially since you basically spoiled the whole book without giving him a chance to read it.
Okay, Let's discuss this. Alex knows Kate will be single in the future, so he approached her in good conscience. That said, it was pretty unethical to make his move while past Kate was dating Morgan.
But past Kate also made the choice to passionately engage with a man she just met. Even if she wasn't happy with Morgan, that's super not cool. And if you thought that was janky, now future Kate gets to chime in.
Why didn't you say anything?
You would have thought I was crazy, drunk.
Yeah, like a sane person.
I liked you. You should have said something.
You were with your boyfriend.
You know what? Excuses, excuses. You are a coward.
I feel I should reiterate that you were meeting him for the first time. Alex's father has a heart attack, sparking a vulnerable moment.
Famous when he still had a family and worshipped my mother. Her name was Mary, and the house was a gift for her. He wasn't at the funeral. When I asked him why.
Go on, Alex. What did he say?
Did Alex stop writing mid-thought and then send the letter anyway? People usually write a lot more when conversing through letters. If they're just standing next to the mailbox constantly, then it's like they're texting, so that's a whole other thing, but they're not shown to be doing that.
In their defense, that would kind of be way too literal. Would you want to be known as the idiot cinematographer who made half the shots in the movie person standing next to a mailbox? In another effort to meet up, Alex makes a reservation for them at a fancy restaurant.
2 years from tomorrow.
Yeah.
2 years.
From tomorrow.
Okay, that had to be a running joke among the staff. They probably had a countdown calendar and everything.
I think we should be able to accommodate you, sir.
Great.
Weiler. Weiler.
Unfortunately, the date is a bust.
You weren't there.
Don't give up on me, Kate. What about persuasion? You told me. They wait. They meet again. They have another chance.
Life is not a book, Alex.
Oh boy, I can see where this is going.
What if you live your whole life and no one is waiting? I have to learn to live the life that I have got. Let me let you go.
Poetically tragic, and a good thought-provoking statement on the endless pursuit of love. Additionally, no!
Then, for reasons not explained, the mailbox stops working from Alex's side. I guess there's trouble down at the magic post office. And how does Kate rebound from this? By making out with Morgan under the tree Alex planted for her.
What? Boo! You know he's not right for you, girl! Come on! Could this get any worse?
Jack!
Jack! Hasn't Alex suffered enough already? To help himself move on, Alex leaves the lake house behind by giving it to Morgan.
Hey, you? I know you.
Are you freaking?
Take it easy, Steve. I've got this one. How spiteful and petty can you be, Morgan? Okay, he made out with your girlfriend. I agree, that's no bueno. But he just gave you a house! You could at least give him a chance to get his dog back! Alex moves in with his brother and they become business partners. Meanwhile, under the floorboards in her apartment, Kate finds...
It could have been no two hearts so open. No tastes so similar. No feelings so in unison.
I think we should break this down, because this scheme is more elaborate than it looks. 1. Alex had the building address already, but he'd also have to figure out which apartment Kate would be living in. 2. He'd have to sneak in to put the book there while it was under construction. 3. That imperfect floorboard must go unnoticed by anyone until Kate steps on it that evening.
This is just like Alex planting the tree. They're changing the future without any respect for the passage of linear time. On Valentine's Day 2008, Kate and Morgan are talking to Visionary Vanguard, an architectural firm run by Alex's brother, about renovating a house. Back in 2006, it's the same Valentine's Day from the beginning of the movie.
February 14th, 2006. Yeah.
Who did this drawing?
My brother did, actually. Alex Weiler.
Wait a minute.
Do you know how I can get in touch with him?
What?
He died 2 years ago today, actually.
Oh my! Okay, I have to be honest, I kind of figured this is the direction things were gonna go. But still, what a development! Sparked by that discovery, Kate rushes back to the lake house to send Alex a last-ditch warning.
It was you at Daily Plaza that day. And if you still care for me, wait for me.
Spoiler alert, he takes her advice. But Sandra Bullock's performance and the sequence in general really sell the fact that this is her last desperate maneuver.
You waited.
Behold, the rotten cherry on top of every problem this movie has with time travel. Alex dying before Kate knew him is what led her to go back to the lake house in the first place. If he doesn't die, then she'd never go there, so they'd never communicate, and she'd never warn him about his death. But there's more! Remember, Kate just learned that Alex has been dead for 2 years. Is Alex suddenly alive in that world? Did the last 2 years change to compensate for that? Or did Kate's choice push her into an alternate timeline where those differences already exist? But of course, the movie isn't going to answer any of those questions because Hollywood wants to have their happy little Hollywood ending with a nice little bow without accepting any responsibility for actually having it make sense.
So that was The Lake House. Ashley, your pick, your lead.
Very well. The Lake House has a nostalgic place in my heart as a film I saw with my middle school best friend. The premise is interesting, the cast turns in some strong performances, and the soundtrack is nice. The film is essentially a series of vignettes centered around the themes of time, connection, and waiting, which are essential to the main plot and also tie the other B plots together. It's a tradition of my family's to watch it every year on Valentine's Day, and the fact that we haven't gotten tired of it yet means that there must be something good to it. That being said, the time travel element is completely nonsensical! The more I think about it, the more furious I get. It was one thing for Kate to warn Alex about something in the past, or for Alex to help Kate in the future, but it's an entirely different thing to exploit those circumstances in order to resurrect somebody. It's frustrated me for over 14 years and probably always will. All right, Mr. Professional, it's your turn to take a crack at it.
You know, some might consider it rude to be this patronizing when someone's doing you a favor.
I could call in the other 8 favors if you like.
7 1/4 favors, you only reviewed part of Last Airbender.
9 1/4, because we still have Swan Princess 9 and 10 to review.
So what do I think of The Lake House, you ask? I mostly agree with Ashley's judgment, good and bad. Get past the questionable logic, and it's a fairly satisfying emotional experience. But that's just it. Fairly. Romance is present in all kinds of movies, so when it becomes the primary focus, I'm more willing to watch if there are non-reality settings or circumstances to spice up the experience. Not to say plain romances are bad, just less interesting for me personally. If I want real-life romance, I can just hang out with the couples I'm friends with.
You know, you could go on some dates.
Ashley, please. Movies are my mistress. This movie's non-reality is The Mailbox. It's neat, but only goes so far. Despite solid presentation, circumstances between the letters feel very mundane. Most of the dialogue is soft-spoken, giving this movie a very mellow tone throughout. The emotions rarely spike, so it lacks an intensity that would get me more invested in this story. Credit where it's due for this movie using time travel at all, because it did get me on the ride and I had fun. Without that, this movie probably wouldn't appeal to me that much. As for the plot holes, we got a couple of basic questions, and one good old-fashioned time paradox.
If Kate was living in Madison in 2004 and Morgan was living in Chicago, how did a relationship between them even start?
As if a 4.5-hour distance between the cities wasn't enough of an obstacle, what little context the movie provided indicates that the relationship didn't even last that long. For not being the focal point of the film, it's quite the anomaly.
Why did the mailbox stop working after the meeting didn't take place?
Kate broke up with Alex and didn't return to the lake house until she felt the need to warn him about his death. Based on that, I think we can infer that the mailbox will only send the letters when Kate and Alex are present and willing to receive them.
Would you be so kind as to make sense of the ending?
Since Alex chose not to meet up with Kate again until 2008 after being saved, her life, in theory, is not as affected by this time-crossed lovers business. The point of scrutiny here is Alex, because by not dying in 2006, a life suddenly exists for him that didn't before. A life that's incompatible with Kate's February 14th, 2008, where she just found out that Alex has been dead for 2 years. Is this Back to the Future rules, where the timeline gets rewritten and the protagonist isn't familiar with all the changes when they get back? Did Alex just pop back into existence like in Avengers Endgame? Or is it like the anime XXX Hulk, in which the location of the mailbox is a temporal anomaly, and they can have their happy ending, but only so long as they never leave the lake house? This movie focuses more on getting the separated characters together, and not enough on how to do that to explain exactly how everything shakes out. After giving it much thought, I can't make sense of the ending. There's not enough information for me to work with.
You're fired.
That might matter if you were paying me. Besides, the review's already over.
Hey, I just remembered something. Didn't I give this movie to you as a gift like years ago?
You know what? I think you did. But I mean, I couldn't review it until you were ready.
You waited.
Was
that a good one?
Really?
And I have my best dramatic voice
No.
there, my Sandra Bullock impression.
no.
Oh, come on, you know you love it.